Hello Philippines! Hello world! In this video, I am about to show you the meaning and importance of tourism and hospitality, including the history of tourism and hospitality industry. Tourism and hospitality are inseparable. These two sectors work together to provide the best possible experience to every tourist. Tourism sector relies on the hospitality sector for both domestic and international tourism. The tourism industry arranges the likes of travel for tourists, but necessary services such as accommodation and food are provided by the hospitality industry. Tourism too helps the hospitality sector. A great remote location abroad could be relatively unknown to begin with, but once its appeal has been covered by tourists, it may start to draw attention. The hotel and lodges in the surrounding area would then grow to accommodate the increase in tourists. More tourists equal more business for the hospitality industry. Tourism and hospitality are vital for the success of many economies around the world. Tourism and hospitality boost the revenue of the economy, creates thousands of jobs, develops infrastructure of a country, and plant a sense of cultural exchange between foreigners and citizens. The number of jobs created by tourism and hospitality industry in many different areas around the world is significant. These jobs are not only a part of tourism and hospitality sector but may also include agricultural sector, communication sector, health sector, and the educational sector. Many tourists travel to experience the hosting destination's culture, different traditions, and gastronomies. This is very profitable to local restaurants, shopping centers, and even stores. Governments that rely on tourism and hospitality for a big percentage of their revenue invest a lot in the infrastructure of the country. They want more and more tourists to visit their country, which means that safe and advanced facilities are necessary. This leads to new roads and highways, developed parks, improved public spaces, new airports, and possibly better schools and hospitals. Safe and innovative infrastructures allow for a smooth flow of goods and services. Moreover, local people experience an opportunity for economic and educational growth. Tourism and hospitality creates cultural exchange between tourists and local citizens. Exhibitions, conferences, and events usually attract foreigners. Furthermore, foreign tourists bring diversity and cultural enrichment to the hosting country. Tourism and hospitality is a great opportunity for foreigners to learn about a new culture, but it also creates many opportunities for local citizens. It allows young entrepreneurs to establish new products and services that would not be sustainable on the local population of residents alone. Moreover, residents experience the benefits that come with tourism and hospitality occurring in their own country. The history of tourism and hospitality industry was first started in ancient Greece. Hospitality was provided by certain religions, missionaries, priests, and pilgrims form a very large part of traveling public. However, the accommodations were meager, providing only shelter and the barest of sustenance. In ancient Rome, the inns were large mansions whose owners do not allow guests to stay unless they carried a letter of eviction, or also known as permission to travel, from the government officials. The Romans built monuments throughout Britain and Europe in their exploration and conquering expeditions. Their taverns were called tabernas, and the attached inn was called a koponas. But still, the quality of these taverns and inns were still poor. In early days in the Near East, caravans crossing desert stops at caravanserais. These were accommodations that surrounded large courtyards. They were simple structures with four walls where platforms were built for the travelers to sleep in. In the Middle Ages, Charlemagne enacted a law setting out the duty of a Croatian to provide free resting place and food for a traveler. Up to this period, it was considered a charitable donation to render hospitality and not a business venture. However, in the year 1282, the great innkeepers of Florence in Italy incorporated a guild association for the purpose of turning hospitality into business. The term hostelers, meaning inn holders, was not used until 1473, but it gradually shifted from owner to inn servant. The term hostel, meaning inn, was not used until the 1800s. In modern usage, hostels are accommodations of lesser quality and hostelers are guests who stay at hostels. Public coach service was introduced around 1650. The coaches ran between major cities and stopped wherever passengers wanted. Coach inns were built along the routes primarily at points where teams of horses were changed. The British used the term ordinary to describe such inns. They were built in a relatively standard design where the various buildings or sections provided sleeping accommodations for the travelers, a facility in which food and drink were served, a shelter for both the drivers and horses. The United States Service was established in 1710 and called its primary routes between major towns along the Atlantic coast post roads. Because of this, entrepreneurial farmers converted their farm business into inns. Passengers from coaches slept in the hostels along room with their feet toward the fire. These 20-feet inns were called taverns, with public rooms on the first floor and sleeping rooms above. In the year 1788 in Nantes, Hotel de Henry IV was built 60 beds and was considered as one of the first finest European hotels during that time. Also during the 18th century, coffee houses became popular in Europe and was included in many of the inns. The introduction of the railroads had a great influence in the lodging industry. As train tracks were being built throughout the Western world, depot hotels were also built. The hotels were usually connected directly to the train stations. Spas also started to grow in popularity during this time. Spas, mineral springs, or pools that are believed to be medicinal or helpful has been tourist destinations since Roman days. However, the advent of train caused beautiful resorts to be built at these sites. Pennsylvania posted that it was the first state to have railway travel to its spas. On the other hand, Saratoga Springs in New York was popular for the Saratoga trunks that would accommodate all the clothes one needed to spend a season at a resort. There were also other famous spas for centuries and were accessible to the public via rail travel, such as spas that bathed in Germany, Marienbad, Bohemia, and Vichy, France. It was also during the century that Thomas Cook arranged his first tour, and in the 19th century was the opening of the first Tremont Hotel in Boston. It was the first luxury hotel that featured the first indoor toilets and first private bedrooms with locks on the doors. The Tremont also had a version of the present-day bellman who was called a Rotonda Man, and in 1889, Cesar Ritz became the manager at the Savoy in London. He eventually opened his own hotel, the London Ritz, and opened famous luxury hotels in Paris, New York, and other cities around the world. In 1907, Ellsworth Milton Statler opened his first hotel in Buffalo, New York, which was considered the first commercial hotel. It featured private rooms with keyholes above, the doorknob and light switch just inside the door. It also had the first private bathroom, full-length mirror, circulating ice water, and free morning newspaper. Another famous innkeeper was Conrad Hilton, also known as the King of Innkeepers. He opened his first hotel in 1919. The Mable in Texas and from the Dallas Hilton was opened in 1925. In 1954, Hilton bought the Statler chain of hotels. Other famous innkeepers are John Willard Marriott Sr., who is the founder of the Marriott Hotel chain, and Clemens Wilson, who is the founder of Holiday Inns. The automobile led the hotel industry into a booming business in the 1920s. The term motels, coined from motor hotel, goes back to the time when a farmer owning land along the major routes would build wooden 10-foot by 10-foot cabins along the road in front of his property.